what I generally tell them is no, there are no snakes, no mosquitoes, no black flies, no greenheads, no deer flies. And then when everybody laughs, they know how big a liar I am. But that gives you a heads up. Do you think there are clovers here? Because they used it for the cattle and the horses. And there are 6 different types of clover on Lodholm Farm. This is chamomile.
Oh,
Bruise it,
oh yes.
sniff it.
Look at that. Now
It was an old time
Ooh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
remedy.
What did you call it?
This is pineapple weed, and it is chamomile.
Ah,
They
I didn't
used
know
it to
pineapple
make.
weed was chamomile.
How cool!
They used it to make. Oh, okay.
It's really cool. It's all around. Yes, and
Yeah,
it looks like yellow.
Yeah, it does look like
It also looks like Queen Anne's
Yeah.
lace, but all you have to do is pick it up and smell it. And you'll have chamomile. And they use the blossoms for the tea, not necessarily the leaf.
flowers. And what you have my favorite plant right here.
Galls. Every plant has a meristemaceous area, that tender tip that the phytohormones tell it not to put out an oak leaf, to put out a rose leaf. And when something interferes with that, you end up with some kind of distortion, often a gall. And I probably will do a gall talk at the end of the summer, but right now I tried to find one. We have 2 different kinds here. One is shiny and red, smaller than a marble, and one is prickly and red and smaller than a marble. And if you pop it open, there'll be a little maggot on it. Did you find one? Yes, I found it.
Well, is that a berry?
No, this is a gall. This is the prickly kind. So I'm going to open it up. No, I'm not. I didn't, I opened it up before. There we go.
So galls are always made by a bug?
Yeah.
Is it the
Because-
growth of the plant around the bug, or is it something that
Does the
As
bug
far as I
stimulate it?
understand it, the maggot, the wasp that stings the tender tip interferes with the growth, causes an overgrowth. So the maggot, and I think I dropped him on the ground because I don't see any movement in there, but you can see how it's hollow. The type of wasp is the same always that makes this gall. And you can tell the type of wasp by looking at the gall, or you can tell, if you look at the wasp, you can tell what gall it will make.
Really?
And on what flower.
So what are these
Okay, this,
white?
let me get down, see if I can get it. Okay, come on. There are, okay, I got one leaf here. They're 5 petals, but if you look at it, it looks like there's more petals, but it isn't. It's a 5 petal. This is stitchwort. There is a look-alike that's chickweed. Now the way you can tell the difference is, see the leaf is needle-like. The chickweed, it's rounded and it's chick-like. So they look exactly like that. It depends on the leaf. So that's a quick way of doing it. Stitchwort, needle leaves, chickweed, little fat leaves.
Oh, interesting.
Okay? And again, it's a sign of a hayfield that has not been well done. We have 2 individuals that are anomalies to the group. Can you pick out who they are?
Anomalies
To the group.
Well, let's define anomaly
Oh.
first.
Oh.
Oh, I see.
anomalies to the group.
Something that's in the minority.
You know, another anomaly is our two youngest
Yeah.
to the group. So when I was walking up here, I saw an anomaly. Green, and then all of a sudden this pretty pink. So always look for the anomalies. What doesn't fit? One of the things that you need to know as a concept, and maybe not the vocabulary, is the word ecotone.
Ecotone.
Ecotone. We are standing on a lawn. It's a mowed strip that goes out to our lawn. We are next to a meadow. The edge is called the ecotone. So there's an edge factor. And to go global, most of our population in the United States lives on the ecotone. East Coast, West Coast. You know, that's where our biggest cities are. So that's a global thing. But this goes on right here also. That species that do well here can also hide over here. And species that do well here can also come up here and use whatever they want to here. So this, and we just don't have time to take you to all of these, but this is a absolutely wonderful place to explain to you how many, and I think I counted 9 ecotones that you can't see from here. So I'm going to tell you what they are. Now we have the lawn, we have the meadow. If you look to the right, behind the Klein house, and to the right of the Muskie Trail, that is a hydric forest. It's a forested swamp. Another ecotone that is at the edge of a field, and then it goes into this forested swamp anyway. If you walk down the Muskie Trail to you're walking on a berm, and the berm is there because they ditched to drain the hayfield, and also the overflow of the Klein house well. But there is a ditch there that is a riparian habitat, and there are eels that come into that ditch because I've seen them.
Wow.
So you have another ecotone there that is between the field and the forested swamp. You've got this riparian habitat. Now if you come out around the corner and out into the field, you have that wonderful fen. A fen is not a swamp and it's not a bog. It's halfway in between. A fen is, because of the slope, because of the aspect, because of the drainage, water flows through it slowly. A swamp collects water. A fen goes through, and a bog also collects water. The soil turns very acid and doesn't have many nutrients in it, and it becomes sphagnum. That fen, to me, is the most interesting habitat here on the reserve. We have 3 endangered plants down in that area. One is the Iris prismatica, which is a clump inside the Iris versicolor. That's one of the threatened. We have 6 orchids on the right of the boardwalk that possibly may be blooming this time of year. We have, if anybody likes belly botany, there are roundleaf sundews, tiny little sundews, which are supposedly eat bugs. To the left of the boardwalk is a funny little flax and runnels, where you have cranberries growing next to huckleberries. Cranberries need wet feet, huckleberries need dry, good drainage, and you have them within 4 inches of each other. So it is a really strange little, and a lot of peat. you know, I shouldn't take away from the peat. There's a lot of different sphagnum mosses down in there. So now we have a fen, a riparian habitat, a wooded swamp, and a meadow. And they all come together, and they're different species use each one, and they go back and forth. The ecotones on these 9 habitats that I'm telling you about have a richness to it that you might not find anywhere else on Lord Home Farm. And this right here is part of why people have fallen in love with Lord Home Farm. Now I'm going to ask you again, with the vertical diversity, what uses the ground? What uses the ground? And I'm not talking plants here. I'm talking what you would expect to live on the floor of this old shrub area.
New England cottontails.
I'm glad you brought that up. Does anybody remember the Uncle Remus stories and Brer Rabbit?
Yeah.
Well, this here, and I have done this, if you go down here and scurry under the bushes, there are rabbit burrows here, a lot of rabbit burrows. And the rabbit population down in this corner is bigger than any other place because they have access to the grasses that are here, the clovers that are here, the clovers that are out there. So, and they can still go back and hide. So rabbit's a good one. Okay, next level up, let's talk shrub area because we're talking diversity of height. Who would use the shrubs? And for what?
Birds. The warblers come through in the spring. And
You can have 10 to 15 times more deer here than in the forest.
Really?
Yes. Because
Bingo.
there's food
They're
here
there.
and a hiding place.
Yes, food, hiding place, places to place their fawns that are not going to be disturbed.
That don't smell.
Yeah. That's,
Fawns
you know.
do not smell.
And so the coyote and fox can't find them. So, and also, let's talk birds. Name some ground nesters. You already did.
Turkey,
Turkey, ground nesters.
the woodcocks.
Woodcock, ground
Bottlenecks,
nesters.
right?
grouse,
Yep. How about shrub layer? Birds. Tell me shrub layers.
The warblers in the spring come through.
Yeah.
here.
Robins, catbirds,
What do you mean
mockingbirds.
shrub layers? What do you mean? Laying their eggs in the shrub? Is that what
They build a nest
Oh, sure,
in the
okay.
shrub.
Yeah.
How about treetop? Treetop. Let's go treetop here. What
Kinglets.
builds?
Kinglets.
Yep. What
Kinglets
else?
and treetops.
They big birds.
Crows.
Crows. So there's a diversity of species there is what, you know, I keep hammering at, especially in these old field areas. And they're very hard to maintain as an old field area. Talking about the form of this apple tree. What can you tell me about the form of this apple tree?
Oh,
It's an open or a vase.
That's better than some of the ones we do.
that's a real good one.
Yes, it's just a canopy.
It's a vase.
Say that louder.
There's just a canopy.
Canopy. That's right.
Instead of the
Okay.
lower branches.
This is as far south as we're gonna go. We're gonna go up and
Yes, that's it.
and tell me what you can tell about it as opposed to the apple.
It's very axillary as opposed to
The
canopy.
deer can't reach the branches. Probably.
There you go.
Okay, I want you to look because this is, again, you know, there's all different ways of presenting your subject. This allows sunlight through, as do maple leaves and some other lobed leaves. The apple does not allow sunlight through. It's a closed leaf. So when you're allowing sunlight to get into the interior of the tree, you have a lot more leaves on it. And this happens with the hawthorns. So when you look at a tree, remember the differences, you know, in the formation of a tree and why. They need sunlight, and that's one of the abiotic aspects of a growing community is that they need sunlight. So think about the apple and the oak leaf, and I just happened to pick up an oak because it was stand right there, but it could have been a maple leaf. Things I accidentally came across because I do like that insect-plant interaction was this.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And you can see it there.
Oh my goodness.
And what it is Shakespeare's Rose Vetigar. It is a perfume. Now, without walking, you can pass that around, without walking out there, if you look at it and you cup your hand around it, it smells like sweet apples, like delicious apples
really?
smell.
Ooh.
And you can understand why they called it that. Because the perfume coming off of it is just beautiful. And of course in the wintertime it looks like that. But I am sure all those sheets I showed you in the notebook that had all the head parts of a wasp were the kind of wasp that make that. And it isn't just one wasp. There is one species, but a number of wasps that sting that meristemaceous tender growing tip to make this overgrowth that is just beautiful.
What if you cut into it?
You'd
you ever
find
cut one?
maggots.
Oh, you would?
Okay, that was my last stop, so I'm going to go up underneath the
interesting.
tree now, and we're going to do a wrap-up